gotta get the share all set up, right? We should be all set now. Okay.
I'd like to call this meeting to order. Would you take a roll, please?
Mrs. Leskowitz,
Here.
Mrs. Donahue, here, Mr. B,
Here.
Mrs. Kipling, here.
I say the pledge of allegiance.
Pledge allegiance to the flag
Of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
All right, can I get a motion to approve tonight's agenda? Second. Any discussion? Will you call roll, please?
Mrs. Leskowitz?
Yes.
Mrs. Donahue?
Yes.
Mr. B?
Yes.
Mrs. Kipling? Yes.
Could I get a motion to approve the minutes from the regular meeting on the 19th November?
I'll move.
I'm second. Any discussion? You take roll, please.
Mrs. Leskowitz?
Yes.
Mrs. Donahue?
Yes.
Mr. B?
Yes.
Mrs. Kipling? Yes.
Good evening, sir.
Yeah.
All right, Ms. Julie.
Good evening, board. So some of these I said last time, but I'll repeat some of it. So again, the technology intern is now being hired into a new permanent position. The hiring has not been proportional to the growth of new students. We are now top heavy. Administrator to worker / student ratio is too high and well above what other schools our size have. I do see the bus driver hour adjustments. It doesn't say what they were, so is this a result of the elimination of the double bus routes? Just wondering. Also, I'd like to again mention that giving a performance stipend to someone for doing their job, such as ending the double bus routes, is just not reasonable to me. As I asked before, does it get paid back if a double bus route is again needed? Don't know about the reduced hours. I mentioned that before. And as I said before, I have no problem giving performance bonuses. In fact, I like anything based on merit, but we have increased salaries exponentially. And I would like to see bonuses given based on going above and beyond, not for just completing work that is part of the job. Thank you very much for limiting the income tax levy to 5 years. Yay. For the president pro tem, I don't think it really matters who is president pro tem, but I do think it is important to change presidents annually to allow everyone the opportunity to sit in the chair at least once. I personally wish that I had served as president at least 1 year when I was on the board. We had a different makeup of the board. I think for you guys, it would be good to at least have everybody go through it once. The president's role is one of facilitator while presiding over the meetings, listening with an open mind, delegating responsibilities to foster board engagement, guiding discussions and resolving conflict. Which board member would be best at listening to all viewpoints and engaging all members rather than doing all of the work alone? I'd like to tell you a little story. Some of you have already heard this. I attended the board member 101 training with Jacob King, who was the president when I was on the board. During that training, they reiterated that the board operates as a unit, not as individuals, that the board president's authority is no greater than that of any other board member, and that the board president is not king. So at that point, Jacob and I turned to each other and smiled because, of course, his name is King. So something I will never forget just because of that coincidence. But once again, I ask you, which board member would be best at bringing the board together to operate as a board rather than going out on their own and operating as an individual? Lastly, I believe all board members are there to seek out and consider community input. At the last meeting, it was suggested that the levy may not pass if it was floated as continuous rather than keeping a 5-year expiration. Most of the board heard the reasoning and agreed it would be better to get it passed for 5 years. So again, I ask, which board member would solicit and value community input and not discount the township residents' concerns because they will likely be outvoted by carriage trails? Choose a leader, not a dictator. choose wisely. As always, thank you for allowing me to speak.
Right, Superintendent Nichols?
All right, thank you. All right, first of all, I'd like to thank the township again. I mentioned this last week for letting us use, we can get our salt from there. In the winter time, it saves us some time and obviously we don't have to drive to Troy. So thank you to the township trustees for that. We are dedicated staffing. We talked about that. We're continuing to work on that. It should be implemented next month. Our impact aid surveys have went out. We talked about that at the last meeting. They have went out. They are due back January 10th. So that's good. I did have a meeting with the developer from Carriage Trails. It was a sort of a overview meeting and we had a discussion. We said we'd get back together in January, but we talked about you know, what he could do for us if there was a school that they wanted to build there. So when I talked to him, he was not, didn't say there had to be a school there. He would donate the money, it would be a park and then he would pay the money back to the school. I mean, this is preliminary. We have nothing in writing, like I said, but I got to start the conversation. So it was a conversation. We'll meet again in January, but you know, he's willing to work with the school. But like I said, it's one of those things where, you know, I'm not going to get ahead of anybody. So, but I know he had promised some things and I want to see where he was at. So, the educational planners, like we talked about, they will be here Monday, the 30th. So I'll be with them here Monday on December 30th. They've got the survey input back from us. They've got, when they come out on the 30th, it's interesting. They've got, for the buildings at this age, they've got a 3D scanning equipment, which they can sort of see what rooms would look like if they were built. You know, they've got right now, they're going to take some photos of the spaces, verify the layouts. They've got a lot of input from staff that they saw on site and from the survey. So, you know, I'm looking to, you know, if we can utilize the space that was not utilized in the initial, you know, that will save us. You know, I don't want to do modulars. You know, we can't build a school today. You know, it takes time. But we've got some. You know, we've got building a room in the old building. We've got which we utilize more. And I think with those guys coming out, we can start to effectively and cost effectively put in some more rooms. So they'll spend all day Monday out here with me. It'll be nice because they can crawl now. They can get into all the rooms and get underneath, look at some of the systems without the kids being here. You know, when they were here, they interviewed people, but like I said, they've already came across some interesting things. So I'm looking forward to what.
I'm afraid of that.
Yeah, I'll give you that report once they're done with it. But they said there were some interesting things they discovered, and I said, "Why don't you come? I'll be here all day Monday. Why don't you come on back out and talk with me?" So
Turning off my phone.
we're gonna tour the facility. So I just think, like I said, it's one of those things where, you know, we all know there's some open space there that was by design, but we could use that space for classrooms. So
You said Monday, the 30th?
Yeah.
They would be here? Okay.
yeah, they'll be here Monday. They'll come down about 8 o'clock Monday. I'll meet them here. So. Strategic plan, like I said, this is all part of the strategic plan. So I'm planning on kicking that off in January with the board. You know, we've got people that are interested in helping. It'll be a large process, but it's a fun one. I've been through before. They can be very effective. So I look forward to that. Look forward to working with everybody on that. I want to thank the athletic boosters. This is in the agenda, but I'd like to thank the athletic boosters. They donated $50,000 towards bleachers. And I look forward to meeting all the boosters next month and moving forward. And then last but not least on my report, I just want to wish everybody Merry Christmas. Last day for kids is Thursday. Last day for staff is Friday. Don't come back till 7. Good for you. Joy. And I also like to thank, you know, everybody, the community, the staff, people that brought me cards and candy, and food, and socks, and it was like, wow, it's like, this is awesome. So if you're listening out there, thanks, I appreciate it. And and the nurses, I mean, I got a brisket dinner today, and I appreciate that. I haven't got to it yet, but I'm gonna eat it after this, so, yeah, so they knew I was in meetings all day, it's like a 20-hour day today, so I will take advantage of that, so I appreciate it. So that's my report. Thank you. So. Next.
Jimmy?
Oh, go ahead.
Can I ask a question?
Absolutely.
Do you, what do you see folding into, any further discussions that we may end up having, or you may have with the developer? Things from the strat plan, where's,
Yeah, look, if he's, if the developer's here, and obviously he's here, right? So, my question is, what is he going to do for us? That was the conversation. What can you do for us, right? I've heard all these things, and, I know that there's been litigation and whatnot, he spent money on that, that was all before I got here. My question is, what can you do for us? What's the path moving forward? And, where, are you telling people that you want a school there and you don't want, I'm curious, there's questions that I've all heard, could you donate, $1 million for a field house? Cause I heard that too. I heard when I got here, you're gonna go 500,000 for a field house. Well, see that, but I asked Bill that and he said he was willing to do that. He said, donate a large amount of money, build a field house, pay for it over time. I mean, if he's here and he's going to be here, I mean, he's got a development in Tip City too. I mean, he's a developer, that's what he's gonna do, build houses, right? But I think at the end of the day, if he's going to be here in our backyard, we might as well figure out a way to work together, at least to be proactive and not fight all the way. He's gonna build homes. I mean, I don't see any way to stop that. They're here, they're part of our district, and we should work together, plan together instead of fighting with them as we move forward. My opinion, I think, but I think when you look at the strat plan and, moving forward, that's a conversation that we need to have with them. Not just me, the board, the community. I don't think he's not opposed to that, right? But I needed to know where he was, because I hear 100 different things and I wasn't here. I want to hear from him.
Thank you.
Well. Okay, student recognition. Okay, Tiffany, you ready? So here's what I got. So Tiffany Moore is here tonight. She's recognized as a commended student by the National Merit Scholar Program based on the score of the PSAT. So the preliminary PSD or the Scholastic Aptitude Test, right? So these numbers are awesome. About 1.5 million kids take this test. 1.5 million, about 34,000 scored the top 2%. You scored in the top 2%. That is amazing. No, I just think that, I mean, I don't know who out there is taking the SAT or the PSAT or the ACT. They're not exactly an easy test. But the fact that you're in the top 2% of the whole United States is phenomenal. And I just wanted to say congratulations, and it need to be recognized. So I thank you for coming. I thank your family for coming. So nice job to you, Tiffany. Congratulations. The Moore family, nice work. I don't know. I won't ask which side of the family. I didn't ask, but no, but with that being said, I'd like to give you this award, and can you take a picture?
Oh, you want me to do it?
Oh, Lord, help me.
Say a little prayer for me.
There you go.
There we go. Congratulations.
Mom wants one.
Mom's taking
Mom
a
wants
picture.
one.
Oh, let me get out of the way. If you do better, yes.
Congrats.
Congratulations.
Outstanding.
You probably know, right? Yeah.
The board
you.
meeting.
Right, I mean, don't feel bad if you don't want to walk out. It's okay. But you're welcome to stay if you want, but no, but it's all serious. That is a tremendous accomplishment. Congratulations. You know, I took those tests too once upon a time. Did not score that high. So, congrats. So I appreciate it. Thank you. Important dates, like I said, we've got teacher work day, no classes on the 20th. We've got December 20th to January 6th is CTC winter break. The 23rd to January 3rd, winter break, district's closed. Now we are, yeah, so we're out, just so you, I'm here. If we come back, what, I come back the 2nd, 3rd, but anyway, the kids come back the 7th, just
Yeah.
so you know. In the beginning of the 3rd grading period, so we're halfway through, and then the federal holiday, Martin Luther King district closed on the 20th. So, that's that, and you know, and I would say you all know, like I've got to give a report to Dayton Daily News tomorrow, interview, but I think when you talk about growth, in 2014, we had 948 kids in this school district. In 2024, we got over 2,400 kids in the school district. So, you know, I get it's growing fast. But you know, growth is here. It's like I said, when you're at 948 kids in 2014, and then you know you're almost at 20 or 24. I mean, we're Division 4, going to be Division 3 school in athletics. I mean, it's growing, right? So it's like it's a lot of growth in 10 years. It's a lot of growth. So I can understand why people think that, you know, we're hiring a lot, but at the same time we're growing a lot. So kind of correlates. But yeah, that's in my, if you see a article, like I said, I'm meeting with the reporter, and she'd reach out to me and said, can I talk to them about the growth we've experienced in the last 5 years? So if it's a good article, I said it. If it's not, then
Took you out of context.
Something I said. Which does happen sometimes. I used to pick up the Columbus Dispatch. Why did you say that? So, all right, that's all I got.
Now we're to the treasurer's report. Okay, so for the month of November, let's see. I get this to work. So it just shows where we are as far as revenues compared to where we were last year. So real estate and personal property tax, we're pretty much running about the same, but there is an increase in income tax. Local, some increases in interest, but most of our increases are coming from the Ohio Department of Education, or ODU as they call themselves now. Total revenues up 1.2 million year to date. State funding is up by 832,996. So we're still running about $65,000 more than what was on the forecast. So that's good to get more revenue, not less. So, and we're up about 157,000 for the first 5 months on income tax. So, expenses, of course, salaries and benefits are more, and purchase services. So regular, certified, and classified wages are driving salaries. And we had about $100,000 in severance. So one of the things we can do if it gets to that point is we set the severance fund up so we can expense that cost out to the severance fund if we want to, but I don't really think we need to right now. That's the superintendent's retirement. So
I'm not taking it.
no. Instructional services related to special ed is the main driver in our increase in purchase services. Part of that is EFC. A lot of that is nursing services. We've had to add quite a bit of nursing services.
And we got a meeting with ESC Friday.
Yes. So we do have some additional investments in curriculum for science, digital textbooks, and American history that we made this year as well. So overall, current cash is $10,345,092, which is about 156 days worth of cash on hand. As far as construction, so far we've had 958,000 in revenue. And we have about 117,000 in encumbrances, which means outstanding purchase orders, and $1.3 million in available cash currently. I did send out an email, asking about some of these outstanding POs for like Garmin Miller, Stan and Associates, Peterson, and I'm waiting to hear back that they're all done with their billing. And if that's the case, then I'm gonna close out a lot of these, and then we'll get a real big, a true picture of what that fund looks like. So, because technically, financially, we haven't closed the project yet. So I'm trying to get all those ducks in a row so we can get, I don't want to close them and then they send me a bill. Then I have to come in here and ask you to approve a huge then and now. So just trying to get them to put in writing that they are indeed done. So and then this is just the general fund report that shows where we are compared to last year. So $1.2 million more in revenue, and $2.9 million more in expenditures, but we are still in the black. So, yeah, that's a good thing for me anyway. Bank rec, we balanced a little bit over 14 million in all our funds. And then I have both the general fund and the COPS investments. We've spent all of this money, so that account has been closed and all that money is coming back to the district. So to reimburse us for the expenses we've already incurred. So you won't see this COP investment anymore. The $2.1 million that's there has now been returned to the district because we do it's reimbursing us for the expenses we've already incurred. So it will go into our money market account though and continue to grow some interest for us. Cash summary report, which shows all of our cash in our different accounts. We're in the black for most of it, except for a few of, few of our accounts, which we, most of that's going to be your grants and as we request funds after we've spent it. So if anybody has any questions about that, just let me know. And then we had some then and nows. So November we had 9, but that's less than the 13 that we had last year at this time. So still higher than I wanted, but and
I don't have.
you got, no, you did have one. That one you got rid of, but you had one before that.
We'll talk about that.
So transportation's defense, some of these popped up from previous fiscal years, like 22 and 23. And so there was no way for anybody in transportation to know that these were out there. We had never received the invoices. So we had to put a PO on and get them paid once we made sure they were valid and all of that. So this, I have to put them down as a then and now because legally, but
You
it's,
gotta lay down the law.
yeah, I know, but I feel bad for them because it really isn't Jacob's or Kathy's issue, so.
It's the first one in 33 years.
So, then we have our detailed check register for the month of November, our amended certificate. I always just like to, we actually reduced our appropriations, which is good. So we didn't increase it this time. We reduced it a little bit. So it just shows you that we're not over appropriated as long as these amounts are in the positive. If you see a negative amount over here for the whole fund, then we're in trouble because we've over appropriated. So we don't have that situation going on, which is why I provide that to the board so you can see that. Tax budget for 2026. We have two issues. The second, two things that need to be done. We need to have the second resolution passed that allows us to do the alternative tax budget instead of the full tax budget. So I'm asking the board to approve that.
Told you.
Just yeah, I know, it's so much fun.
They
So
left on your watch.
that's all right. It's hard to make this stuff exciting. All right, it is what it is. So this is pretty much taking from our 5-year forecast, what we expect to spend in fiscal year 26. But it also adds in all of our other funds like bond retirement fund that is not on your 5-year, because 5 years pretty much your 001, which is your general fund, and your 016, which is your substitute emergency. This breaks down for the Miami County Auditor's Office each fund. And it just pretty much tells them, yes, we need our tax dollars. I know Montgomery County doesn't do a tax budget. They use the 5-year forecast as your, but Miami County still does. So, but it's the alternative one, so it's good. It's due by January, I think 15th or 16th. So we're gonna send it out and be early this time. We're not gonna wait till the last minute. That's my goal. So unless anybody has any questions, that's all I have.
And we met with food service,
We did, yes.
so we got that.
We got
thing
some
straightened out.
ideas, yeah.
Because remember the last time we tried that, so we're good.
Could I get a motion to approve the consent agenda for the treasurer's report?
Second,
Vicky, roll please.
Mrs. Leskowitz?
Yes.
Mrs. Donahue?
Yes.
Mr. B?
yes,
Mrs. Kiplinger?
Yes.
Thank you.
Okay, recommendations?
Thank you. Recommend that Matthew Colbert be brought on as a tech assistant at step 0 at 1675, 8 hours a day, 260 days. New position. Like I said before, we talked about the growth. Matt's worked here for I think about 6 months. He's been working here. It's just been filling out timesheets. And he floats between the high school, middle school, and elementary. So currently we got, Jason Cook is our tech director. We've got Austin, who does high school, middle school. Matt Reed basically does the elementary by himself with 1,000 kids. So there's a lot going on. We talked about this last week. That's the recommendation to bring him on. Like I've said before, I'd like to retool a little bit of the technology. I want Jason to think more K-12. I want to be involved more in curriculum. I want things to work. So that's the reason for the recommendation. Well, back to, we talked about the folks before. We had the Constance Barr, Brenda Brooks, and Jetta Massey, and then we were waiting for Serena. Serena got our paperwork in, met with everybody, so she knows those are the days. Those are the days off. So that is so it's for the 2 days, 3 days unpaid. That's what I was reading. Contract adjustments, item C. Christina Wolford is going from plus aide to a driver, and Lorraine Smith is the elementary aide. We got her substitute, her years of experience from Tip City, where she was an aide. So that was the reason for that adjustment. And the Savita, like I said, she only worked a few days here. She is resigning. Not sure why, but was here for a few days, took off. And that is all I have on that.
Could I get a motion to approve the consent agenda for classified personnel?
move,
Put Andy then.
Okay.
I'll second.
Any discussion?
I have a question. So the, on the contract adjustments, I mean, I get like waiting until you get verification, but to go from 0, I mean, like, don't you have an idea of what they come in with?
Yeah, I had an idea. Well,
I
I mean,
mean-
she told me, but I didn't have the I mean, she said she had 10 years. She actually had 13 years of aide experience, but we only did 10.
Right,
Past
right, no, I
president,
knew that.
But that was, when I got all that, then I adjusted it. Because she was told, she said if she had 10 years what would the rate be? I said, well, 10 years, the principal told her it'd be 1910. And she's doing if you talk to Tanya, she'll tell you she's probably the best aide we've got, that we've hired here that stayed.
No, I don't have a
But-
problem. I'm
But
just.
that's why.
Yeah, it's just, I would think that you would at least try to bring them in kind of close to where they,
Well, I didn't
Could
want
or
to bring him
should
in
be.
kind of close if it wasn't accurate. I brought him in at 0, and if you can prove you got 10, I'll adjust it. If you can't, stay at 0 or
Okay.
quit. But, I mean, I see your point, but,
Yeah.
I mean, I just didn't want to, I say, I'll split the difference, I give you 5, then I gotta come back and take 5 away or
right?
add 5, so I just put it at 0. So I got the verification.
How long does that usually take to get? I mean, are they getting a paycheck for the 0 and then getting a paycheck for the 10, or are we having to make up?
We paid her, I mean, we employed her till, she'd been getting paid as a driver, and then she went over the aide. Do you make up the difference, or do you,
Yeah, we do, depending upon.
what's they verify?
Yeah. I just hate for people to. lose
We'll
out
do
on
a
money,
retro
you know?
and make sure that she's paid for.
Thank you.
And then, may I ask another question
Sure.
on, Ms. Wolford, Christina Wolford? So will she actually have a route assigned to her now, or will she kind of be a sub? Since we were kind of level set and she went from an aide to a driver?
Yeah, so she has a route. My understanding is she does have a route. We're trying to get a sub driver, just like we have sub teachers on, because right now, we never go through a day where we miss a driver somewhere somehow. Routes get changed, the special ed routes, the midday routes. We've got some issues with some of our special education students in transport. Leave it at that. But, we need some help inside that bus at those times. So it's basically, it's not like there's 5 people sitting around the bus garage, right? It's a fact of, we've got 21 routes, which is like 84 trips. And then you've got all your special ed, your middays, we go to the CLC, so it's like a lot of the things that you even don't see here. And if we had somebody get sick in the middle of the day, they called off, we gotta fill that, so that way it doesn't screw up the other routes, so. We're just trying to right the ship on transportation. I mean, if you look at the software if you look at some of these routes that were designed years ago, I mean, we're running 2 buses down the same road. I mean, this is before Kathy. I mean, I don't know what all happened, and it was, but,
Fine.
it's gotten a lot better, but I looked at the charts today, and I was just like, because now software is inputted, I can see where these kids are in their routes, and we've got to talk about, routing next year. I'm meeting with Mindy and the calendar committee Friday to talk about calendar. We start to talk about length of school day, and I want efficient routes that make sense for the kids, the community, not what's convenient for us. I think that's important. So, as we move forward, there's, you need a little flexibility, but it's the same reason we went to dedicated staffing. I can't staff the building with subs. It's not that we only have like 6. There's just not many to pick from. So, you try to get that pool together of people that you can rely on so things are consistent.
So she does have her own route, is what you
It's
get.
my understanding she does.
And then I was just gonna follow up, and ask, will we be looking to hire an additional aide then to replace that spot that she leaves open?
I don't know the answer to that yet. We'll wait and see. The special ed piece is inconsistent. It's not, I won't say too much about it, but
Yeah.
it's, we need coverage, but that we don't need it every day, but you can't go out. So.
Thank you.
Yeah,
Thank you. That
you're
answered
welcome.
my question.
You take both of these?
Mrs. Leskowitz?
Yes.
Mrs. Donahue?
Yes.
Mr. B?
Yes.
Mrs. Kiplinger?
Yes.
Certified?
Mhm.
Okay, thank you. I'd like to approve Cadence Brooks is a Bethel High School substitute teacher effective immediately. She does have her certificate. We talked about this as well. We did this for Mindy at the elementary. I mean, you know, if you can find a good sub, we like to get them. So she can, you know, teach, she can sub when she is like on, you know, break or something. She can't sub while she's in class per se, but it's somebody that kids know. She does a nice job. So we like to get her here. Leave without pay, we brought this up last week. Tara McCormick's got 4 days and 1 day. She can be gone. And then the ESC substitute list, we approve that every month, I believe. It's about the same. And the science of reading stipends. So we mentioned this, I don't think that was on last week. The science of reading is the, you know, you heard Mitty talk about it, but the science of reading was the professional development requirements, right? With your House Bill 33, I think it was. So they've got, they had to do the training and the state reimburses us. But they do the training, we pay them, and the state reimburses us. So that was, my recommendation was that we would do 2 rounds of pay, one now and one like May, when they had the strike.
Right, we're doing a special pay and they'll have the direct deposits in their account on Friday if the board approves this. So.
Can I get a motion to approve the consent agenda for certified personnel?
I'll second.
Any discussion? You take it, please.
Mrs. Leskowitz,
Yes.
Mrs. Donahue,
Yes.
Mr. B,
Yes.
Mrs. Kiplinger.
Yes.
All right, thank you. I'd like to recommend that we approve the parent transport reimbursement agreement for the 24-25 school year. And you take a look at that, but that's what we do, that we can't transport, but we have to do it. Now you have to do it for each time, each kid. We used to do a blanket and we now we can't do that. So. Then I'd like the board to approve Jacob Wilhite for $2,500 stipend for meeting the performance goal, eliminating the double routing. And like I said, the double routing, like we talked about the growth, we talked about the double routing. Double routing is just not getting rid of double routes. It's actually assessing the transportation department. Really realizing it, you know, we didn't even have enough buses to not do double routing. We didn't notice. So I mean, we've done those things and the board has done a great job on providing what we needed to get transportation. And we actually are going to be okay growing as we move forward with some of the growth. We don't have to keep, we'll be able to, you know, absorb some of that. But I mean, it was in this contract when he got hired. I mean, this isn't a surprise. I mean, it was in there. So the goal was, and he got the goal, got rid of double routing for Christmas. That's why the recommendations. Donation, I mentioned this earlier, $50,000 from the athletic boosters. Thank you. We appreciate that. And then the OSBA membership, I'm assuming we want to renew that. Why not? And I know Tina looked at the assistance fund. Correct?
Yeah, that's the legal assistance fund. It's $250. And if there's something that affects, you know, a lot of districts or districts like us, they assist with those kind of things. It's just an extra blanket of security for $250 a year. Yes.
Yeah, so that is, that's all I have.
Can I get a motion to approve the consent agenda for business items?
Move.
Second.
Any discussion?
I just want to mention that I'm not a fan of putting those extras in. I really don't know that, you know, I'd like to see that become a set of precedent because, you know, we haven't afforded anybody else new coming in that those extra kick-ins and stipends. And I just prefer to not see that become a norm and just leave it at that thing.
And I won't argue that, Natalie. I didn't ask for any performance bonuses in my contract. I didn't ask for any of that stuff in mine. I totally get where you're coming from. You know, this is a guy that we were in dire need of somebody that knew how to do this, manage this division of what we had. He came from He came from Reynoldsburg, which was a larger district, but lives out near here and wanted to come here. He does what he's doing. And he still take a pay cut. And so but I understand. Like I said, I get that. And I heard you loud and clear when moving forward. I didn't ask for that either. You know, we'll set the president. I know what you mean. Duly noted, but that was why.
Thank you.
Mhm.
Thank you.
Any other discussion?
So, I just had a question. So I believe that when Jacob was originally hired, he had 2 bonus stipends in that contract. So I guess I would like to know or understand what the second goal is. Because at the time when he was hired, the goals weren't defined.
Right.
And so, cause I kind of agree with Julie on this, that she brought up, like, this kind of seems like this is his job. So it's not, so I definitely kind of believe that, if we're gonna give bonuses or things of that nature, that it should be for going above and beyond. So,
And I could, this is no.
and
bash on
it's not
Kathy.
an easy task. I'm not,
No,
believe me,
I would
I
tell you.
wouldn't want it.
I would tell you that the transportation department was probably one of the worst shapes of the
Yeah.
transportation part.
But I guess I would just like an understanding, a clear understanding of what that next goal is.
Okay, and I will tell you that, I can give that to you in January. Cause it says here, if we looked at this, first one was get rid of double routing. Cause it's killing. I mean, it hurts me academically, it hurts, I can't have these kids sitting here. I'm gonna lose funding, that was the big one. And then we would develop another one, and I was waiting to see where we were at. Cause I wasn't gonna develop something if he finished all of them in the front end, right? I want things to be done continuously.
Okay.
And so, yeah, I'm gonna expect him to do his job, but he's got like the routing software. I mean, I watched him. He's the one guy I probably talk to at 4 a.m. every day, and he's usually here at night when I'm still here. He left it, I get doing your job, but he'll work 12, 16-hour days, I'll put in a 20-hour day, I don't complain about it, that's what happens, right? But that's the job, I get it, but he does do a nice job, and if you look at the software piece of it, we're over 2,000 kids, we don't have software, that's shocking to me, right? But now I know why. And if you look at it, I mean, it's a mess. He's going to have to rebuild all the routes back from the previous time when they were built, when they had, gonna blow it all up and rebuild. So, it's just not running your transportation department. You talk about something that's outside your normal business, your scope. This is adding the software, blowing all that, and rebuilding the routes on top of managing the day-to-day and checking the roads at 4:30 in the morning and all the other things that we do. But we're gonna sit down and like I said, it'll say here, the transportation supervisor and the superintendent shall develop the performance goals. And that's what we're gonna do. The first one's get rid of double routing, which sounds simple, but there's a lot of layers to that. He did it. Okay, so what's the next goal? And then, I can share that with you.
Thank you.
Yep.
Any more discussion? Okay, roll please.
Mrs. Leskowitz.
Yes.
Mrs. Donahue.
Yes.
Mr. V.
Yes.
Mrs. Kiplinger.
Yes.
All right, income tax, the resolution.
The first resolution is the resolution of necessity, which just says pretty much that we need it, and it's gonna bring in the amount of money as indicated by the state, which is, let's see if I can find it.
Next one. Come this way. Here we go.
Thank you. For $2,258,971 annually for a fixed period of 5 years. And this means that it'll be on the ballot for May 6th, 2025. So this is the first step. I will file this with the state tomorrow. And then they'll send their certification to me, usually by certified mail. And then I hang on to those 2 until the second one is passed, and then send that to Miami County Auditor's Office of the Board of Elections. So this is just the first step, saying, yes, we need it, and certifying that to the state. And if you read through it, it is for 5 years, so. For our discussion.
Okay, thank you. Now we have the BEA update.
Well, I need you
We
to,
gotta vote on that.
yeah, need you to vote on it.
Oh, I see.
It's separate on its own,
Yeah. Right, can I get a motion then to approve the resolution declaring the necessity of raising $2,458,971 annually for school district purposes?
I'll second.
Any discussion? Please take roll, please.
Mrs. Leskowitz?
Yes.
Mrs. Donahue?
Yes.
Mr. B?
Yes.
Mrs. Kiplinger?
Yes.
Thank you.
Now, we're right, sorry.
No.
Oh, good evening.
Hey, long time no see.
I just saw you a few times. No.
You two know each other?
Yeah, just a little. First and foremost, we appreciate you getting another technology person in. People don't understand, you've got 1,000 kids, that's over 1,000 devices. One person can't do it. Here, there's over 1,000 people, there's 2 people. We've got to make sure we're maintaining and growing. People got to understand we're growing as a district. There's going to be more positions. There's going to be more salaries. We have got to worry about our kids and getting what they need and making sure that teachers can do what they need. And we can't do it without tech support. So we greatly appreciate that. Science of reading. We appreciate that. You made a lot of staff members happy, myself happy. That spreadsheet that was created, I spent hours on. I went literally, got certificates from principals, went and walked the buildings to make sure every teacher was listed, make sure if they weren't have a certificate, whether they've done it or not. Came over here, middle school, high school, elementary. Then was another hiccup. Hey, now we need another line in there for
They want a completion
what
date.
was it, completion
When-
date? So I
when
worked
did
on
they
that
take
all
those?
day today.
Yeah.
And then Tina goes, oh, and they want certificates. So I worked on making sure I had all those and got them over to her.
And
So
we appreciate that.
yeah, so
Thank
you know, I'm just wondering
Is
where
your
my
stipend?
stipend is. No, not this season. No, it's a joke. It's a joke. It's a joke. Please. But yeah, in with regards, we are greatly appreciative of that. We appreciate you guys. Teachers, our number one goal is our students and doing what is required of us. And making sure we're staying where we need to be professionally in that. And this is one way. And we just greatly appreciate that. And it's just a nice little appreciation bonus, especially with the time of year, you know, it'll be really nice. So that adds a little bonus for doing something special, maybe with the family and that over the break for all of us. So with that, Mr. Nutter, we greatly appreciate your work on this too.
Thank you.
I
Well,
know.
Don't remember
Everything.
that.
I know. So we greatly appreciate the Treasury Department making sure it happens, so we can't have it this Friday.
You will.
It is a special check, you know, but I think our staff is worth it, and just what way to say we appreciate you. So with that, I will head off to my seat, so we can get done with the meeting, so I can go home again.
I might catch a basketball game.
All right, facilities committee?
So we didn't meet tonight. We plan to meet on,
We talked February. We talked about, my notes show me February, but you go ahead, you tell me.
well, I thought, so when is FMD coming in? I thought that was gonna be the January presentation.
I don't know if they'll be here in January yet, because
Okay,
we're doing the organizational, and that's on the 14th, right? Organizational, regular.
okay,
And this is our last one this month, but my notes it's in February, but
okay.
the first meeting in
Well,
February, whenever that is.
I'd like to have a, more of an internal local, if you will,
Okay.
and then, in January.
Okay.
At the, yeah, because we talked about what date that would be, which right now. I think
21st is a
21st.
regular meeting
Yeah,
date.
at 6:30.
No, January?
Mhm.
No,
Because the 7th is actually the first Monday of the month, and that's trustees.
right.
Yeah, we
We
were,
were gonna do the 14th
14th was.
14th is
the
organizational.
regular.
and then the regular right
Regular
after.
that.
Oh, so we don't have a
Immediately
work
following.
session?
Correct.
Not January.
No work session. Mhm. Okay.
Now, if you still want to, that's one of the questions you have to talk about in January, right? Do you still want work sessions? You still want 2 a month? You just want to do 1 a month?
We'll talk about it in January.
That's what I'm saying.
I guess you'll have
You're
to
right,
come back
Andy.
in January to find
I
out.
wonder what Mike wants to talk about.
I
No
thought,
matter what,
I thought, well,
13th, or was that the
it
14th?
had to be the.
It had to
It had to be done by the 15th, so we're meeting.
It's gotta be
on
done
the
by the
15th.
That's why, yeah,
Thursday.
yeah.
We're gonna.
We, we were
Remember
gonna
I
do
said
the
if it's-
7th, just in case there was like
Trustee
a,
meeting.
And there was a
Fallback
house
date.
up, so.
but we like to live on the edge.
So we're gonna live in the
And I
end.
said, if it snows
Andy's
like
gonna pick
crazy,
us all up if it
get your
snows.
snowshoes on. That's what I said.
Just live around the corner.
It's all fine.
We have tractors.
What's that?
We have tractors, we can track.
Good.
You can drive me in on the tractor.
All right, liaison reports, then, OSBA, is there anything?
OSBA, so there was. It's being weird. Okay, so I only had a couple of updates. Governor signed, House Bill 432, which was a career technical pathways bill, so. Kind of adding some things there. And then the only other one that kind of seemed educational related was. I'm sorry, I had it and then I lost it. It was not- Well, if I find it, I'll keep looking. I don't have my glasses on.
Won't mind.
No, I don't think they're gonna help. You're way more blind than me.
Sit there.
No good deed goes unpunished.
Exactly.
And then we got the CTC. report.
Just a few notes, the CTC and the FFA held its 44th annual charity auction on last Friday, December 13th, and they raised over $14,000 for the Ronald McDonald House, and so just good news to report there. And the other big thing was what Mike already picked up in the important dates to note: no high school classes December 20th through January 6th, and their classes will resume the same days as Bethel does, January 7th of 2025. They're closed on Martin Luther King Day as well. And then the only other significant thing is on January 28th from 6 to 7 p.m. They are going to host a College Credit Plus meeting that night for returning students at the CTC. And that's all I have.
And then
I found it.
Too late.
I know, right? Too bad. Writing team. So it was just a house bill that passed, allowing active military kids to enroll. So that still has to go through the process. It hasn't been signed, but it's going through committee. So that was the.
unfortunately, we're not gonna get the student activities liaison tonight.
No.
So now we're gonna discuss the annual organizational meeting. So confirm that we're gonna do it on the 14th of January, beginning at 5:30, and then we'll follow with regular meeting. Got a motion?
Move.
I'll second.
Any discussion? You take roll, please.
Mrs. Leskowitz?
Yes.
Mrs. Donahue? Mrs. Donahue?
Yes.
Mr. B?
Yes.
Mrs. Kiplinger?
Yes.
Then we also need to appoint a president pro temp. Last week, I think some mention was maybe Natalie doing it. Is that something you want to do? Or somebody else want to do it?
I'm happy to do it again if nobody else wants to,
Does anybody else want?
but somebody has to appoint me.
I'll nominate you for president pro tem. That's fine.
Everybody good?
So are we, is there? Well. Is there any discussion
About the pro temp?
about any of it?
We can, I mean, if you,
So I just wanted to throw out, like, as we think about that next meeting. Personally, I think that I would like to see someone else have a turn at president. I think it's a good look for the board. I think it's important, gives a kind of a fresh perspective, shared leadership. And I think that it also shows, because we do work well together, it shows that, you know, that you change out people, but we still have the same focus. So I would just like to kind of throw that out there. And I think it also helps each person kind of develop some leadership skills, and like I said, just kind of give everybody an opportunity. So I'm just gonna throw that out there, just food for thought. I know Natalie's been here a long time. She hasn't had an opportunity. Reagan was vice president this year, so I don't know if she would want an opportunity. Maybe Andy, since there's several folks coming up for vote this year, so just throwing it out there. That's all I got.
Thank you.
Anybody else? Okay, can I get a motion to appoint Natalie to serve as the president pro temp?
Well, Rachel made the motion.
Mhm.
We just need a
Oh,
second.
okay.
Second.
And then no more discussion, right? We're good.
Mhm.
Will you take roll, please?
Mrs. Leskowitz?
Yes.
Mrs. Donahue?
Yes.
Yeah,
you can vote for
You're allowed.
I would.
Don't be shy.
Okay, Mr. B,
Yes,
Mrs. Kiplinger.
Yes.
I voted for myself to be on the board.
We don't have any more public participation.
All right, we don't have an executive session.
No.
We have. adjourned.
We could sit and chat.
I mean.
Call the roll.
Yeah, motion of DJ.
I'll move.
Motion to adjourn.
I move.
I'll second.
Discussion? Roll, please.
Mrs. Leskowitz?
Yes.
Mrs. Donahue?
Yes.
Mr. B?
Yes,
Mrs. Kiplinger?
Yeah.
We are adjourning at
less than an hour.
7:57.
That's live.
Recording.
Merry Christmas, everyone. Merry
Merry
Christmas.
Merry
Merry
Christmas.
Christmas, yeah.
So let's see.